Michael Jackson began his illustrious career at the age of 5 as a member of the Jackson 5 in 1963. Being a singer was one of Michael's biggest dreams as a child, and his dreams became a reality when his brothers recognized his talent and labeled him as the lead singer of their group. The group consisted of Michael, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and Marlon. Their father, Joseph Jackson, was slow to recognize the group's potential, however soon embraced their talent and invested time and money into their instruments and rehearsals. The group started performing in local talent shows, amateur nights, and nightclubs. As word of their talent spread, they soon were opening up for acts such as The Temptations, The Emotions, Jackie Wilson, and the O'Jays. Their first record deal was with Gordon Keith of Steeltown Records in 1967. However, the record deal that really put the Talented Five on the map was a deal with Berry Gordy and his popular Motown label. Berry Gordy and his team knew that the Five were talented, however more distinctly that young Michael at the age of 9 was something exceptionally special. Remind you that young Michael took on the role of lead singer of the group, and what made him great was not only his talent but also his maturity, determination, and focus. Young and ambitious, Michael would study the techniques and dance moves of the greatest of the time, such as James Brown and Jackie Wilson, and then incorporate a flair of his own to widen the eyes of the crowd. All eyes were on the young talent as he was center stage and possessed the vocal and sound qualities of a veteran performer. Everyone who saw young Michael perform witnessed the stage presence, soul, vocals, and dancing ability like no other. The child star was admired by fans of all ages and backgrounds. At such a young age, in the centerpiece of a group of 5, MJ knew how to capture the audience and established himself in the music industry with his unique style and presence, which set the foundation to his legacy of greatness.
Man, why is Mike Jackson the greatest? For many reasons, but first of all, let me just say how much of a privilege it was to be his friend. Growing up, he was always one of my biggest role models, and having the privilege to be his friend in my adult life has been an honor. He's the greatest for many reasons. First of all, he's just a genuinely nice guy. I remember one time we was at his house, and I said, "Mike, that's a nice flat screen." He was like, "You like that, Chris?" I said, "Yeah, Mike, it's nice." He's like, "You can have it, Chris." I was like, "What?" At first, I didn't want to accept it. I don't want the TV, Mike. And then the black in me came out. I was like, "You know what? That's a nice Rolls Royce, Mike. Not the old Rolls Royce, but the new Rolls Royce." He was like, "Chris, you like that?" I was like, "Yeah, Mike, I like it." He's like, "You really, really like it, Chris?" I was like, "Yes, Mike." He's like, "Well, Chris, you got to get your own. I'm not giving you my Rolls Royce."
Jackson's solo career began with the release of his first single, Got to Be There, which was followed by his first #1 hit as a solo artist, Ben. Following those releases, Jackson also released Music and Me in 1973 and also Forever Michael in 1975. Jackson wasn't the greatest simply for his musical talent, but for his well-rounded ability. Jackson was an amazing performer on stage and is known for his elite dance moves.
Not only was Mike nice, but besides that, he was a humble guy. I mean, he never really wanted to take credit for what he did. He was a very hard worker, but he always gave credit to God. And then he always told people how he admired James Brown and James Brown's intensity on stage. That inspired him a whole lot. And besides being nice and humble, Mike, as everybody else knows, had great vocals and was an amazing performer, the greatest performer of all time. And you know he was a great performer because he had me in one of his videos, of course. You know what I'm saying? Just all those things combined made Mike the greatest entertainer, the greatest artist of all times, on top of all his accolades.
To add to his uncanny ability, in 1978, leading to the albums that would establish Jackson as the greatest, he played the role of the Scarecrow in the movie The Wiz, which was an African-American rendition of The Wizard of Oz. While playing in the movie, Jackson teamed up with Quincy Jones, who was scoring the music for The Wiz, to create his legendary solo album, Off the Wall. Although Jackson had success with the Jackson 5, and in his solo career thus far, the release of Off the Wall in 1979 was what established him as an artist of astonishing talent. Jackson's Off the Wall came with off-the-wall success, selling over 20 million copies worldwide, generating 4 US top 10 hits, achieving favorite soul R&B album, favorite soul R&B male artist, and favorite soul R&B single from the American Music Awards, and even winning a Grammy Award for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. If Jackson's accomplishments from his Off the Wall album aren't enough to prove his greatness, then his Thriller will surely do the trick. In 1982, Jackson released Thriller, which was without a doubt his most successful work and the most successful work in the history of the world. Surpassing the magnitude of accomplishments seen by Off the Wall, Thriller topped the Billboard 200 chart for 37 weeks and was in the top 10 of the 200 for 80 consecutive weeks. Jackson was not only becoming the greatest in America, but also in foreign countries, as he was named Best Artist, Best Male Vocalist, and Album of the Year in Japan, Album of the Year and Single of the Year in Australia, Artist of the Year in Italy, Record of the Year in Greece, Album of the Year in Holland, Most Important Foreign Album of the Year in Spain, the International Artist of the Year in Brazil, where the newest dance craze was called the Funk Jackson. If being honored not only in America but in foreign countries fails to justify Jackson as the greatest, then perhaps his untainted record in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the best-selling album of all time with over 25 million sales globally is enough to validate his greatness. Not only was Thriller making milestones in Jackson's career, but the music video of the song was breaking down barriers in the music industry and also helped Jackson to become known as the greatest. The airing of the music video Thriller on MTV was no minor feat, seeing that the television station had never played a black artist's music before.
I think what a lot of people don't know is that Mike had to fight to get some of his videos played because he was black. And I think that helped break down the barriers for us African Americans, artists such as myself, who are on the rise and trying to become the greatest like he was. It's Michael Jackson. But he still had to fight, just like I'm doing, and overcome these challenges to become one of the greatest.
Jackson's Thriller not only had a mountainous impact on the music world by desegregating MTV, but the video would go on to be known as the greatest music video of all time. The Library of Congress inducted Thriller into the National Film Registry in 2009, making it the first and currently only music video ever inducted.
I remember I sat down with Mike and he listened to Good Life, and he said, who's that singing, yeah? I said, Mike, that's me. He said, you can sing, Kanye. So I'm like, oh man, this is right before I made 808, so I'm like, oh, I can sing. Mike said I could sing, so I could sing. So I'm like, F all the haters. Everybody else, I could sing. I made 808. You heard me sing all those tracks. So it's like Mike inspired me to get out of my comfort zone. And here I am trying to continue his legacy as one of the greatest of all time.
Starting from an early age, Michael Jackson experienced problems that left a lasting psychological impact on his child and adult life. As a child, Michael was physically and verbally abused by his father, Joe Jackson, to the point where Michael would vomit at the sight of his own father. Michael also suffered from loneliness as well as being under constant pressure to perform and create this so-called musical perfection. Although Michael Jackson underwent some serious abuse and personal problems as a child, he does credit his father's strict discipline to a large part of his success. Michael began his solo career in 1971. Jackson's appearance began to create controversy within publicity, including a number of unnecessary nose jobs. Michael's skin started as a very smooth medium brown coloration, but as time continued, the nation watched Michael's skin grow paler during the 1980s and almost completely white towards the end of his lifetime. His widespread media attention included rumors that he may in fact have been bleaching his skin while dealing with appearance issues. In 1988, Michael would purchase a large amount of land that would later become Neverland Ranch, which was filled with exotic animals and amusement park rides. This unexplainable gesture was believed to be a way for Michael to relive the childhood he was never able to live and enjoy as a child star. In his longing to be a child, Michael began to develop relationships with young children, ultimately leading to his first accusation of child molestation in 1993 and his biggest case in 2005. Luckily, Jackson was found not guilty in both cases. Along with these accusations, Michael Jackson developed drug and health issues towards the end of his career, ultimately leading to his unfortunate but never forgotten death in 2009. Despite his rough upbringing, personal insecurities, and troubles in the law and publicity, Michael Jackson somehow found the time to remain the best entertainer to ever walk this earth, earning over 739 total awards and recognitions, setting 31 world records, and being recognized and awarded by the president several times.
We back on Hot 97. We want to welcome Chris Brown to the studio.
What's going on? You know, it's always a pleasure to be back in NYC.
Of course.
NYC, always showing love.
So today we want to talk about Michael Jackson. And we heard there were rumors going around that you guys were supposed to work together in a collaboration before he passed away. If you want to elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, you know, Michael Jackson's always been like a role model for me and all. You know, everything I chose to do musically, dancing. He's one of the greatest of all time. Everyone knows that, King of Pop. But so it's always been a dream for me to work with Michael Jackson. And before he passed away, we had plans. Making a song together.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be big, but God had other plans for Michael, so we never got a chance to fulfill that.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
And everybody saw your performance on the VMAs.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was amazing. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I felt honored to be reenacting such a influential, monumental, song like Thriller, and a person like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, like I said before, he's the king of pop, and I was blessed and had the opportunity to do such a thing, but yeah, I felt amazed.
That was an amazing performance, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That'll definitely go down in history.
For sure.
So, if you could keep it brief, because we don't have a lot of time, but what did Michael Jackson mean to you as an artist, as an upcoming artist?
As an upcoming artist, Michael Jackson was always someone to look up to. He changed the game, opened up the doors for artists such as myself, Usher, but Michael Jackson, I don't know. I always had a love for Mike. He was always looking out for me, whether it be helping me with a song, or giving me a call on the phone or whatever, just to say what's up. Yeah. And just someone I looked up to, But Michael Jackson for sure changed the game. I try to fulfill his legacy at the same time. Yeah. But I'm not trying to, lead his legacy. I'm trying to create my own at the same time. But through my legacy, I'm trying to let people know what he did for us as artists,
All right, man.
But
that's good stuff right there. I see you repping the Taylor Gang shirt today.
Oh, for sure. Shout out to the homie Wiz Khalifa.
Right, man. Everybody on Hot 97, it's Chris Brown checking in. We'll be right back.
Cheer, 2 up, 2 down.
Considering all of the awards and accolades previously mentioned, Michael Jackson can undoubtedly be called one of the greatest entertainers of all time. But to be considered the greatest of all time, Michael would have to be considered great based on the standards of a time period other than his own. For example, by romantic standards. Because he exemplifies the romantic qualities of innovation, personalizing his music, and engaging in the struggle between the beautiful and the sublime, Michael Jackson would be considered a great entertainer and musician even by the standards of Romanticism. Romanticism was a literary, artistic, and intellectual movement in Europe rebelling against rationalization and the destruction of nature. Romantics were deeply focused on the power of untamed nature as well as the relationship between the beautiful and the sublime, especially as it pertained to nature uncorrupted by the presence of man. In concerts such as Dangerous, Michael Jackson achieves a romantic's goal of trying to go beyond one's comfortable limits, being in a constant struggle to improve in one's craft. This clip of Michael flying off stage on a jetpack clearly shows him pushing the human limitation of gravity, as well as creating a new standard of grandeur for performances. In the process of pushing his own limits and expanding the boundaries of his performances, Michael also created his own style of performing. Michael Jackson's combination of multiple dance styles, as displayed in his Billie Jean performance, exemplifies a romantic goal of developing one's own unique style. As you can see in this performance of Billie Jean, Michael Jackson combines elements of a wide variety of dancing styles, including hip-hop, ballet, rock and roll, pop and lock, the robot, and tap dancing. In this performance, Michael also reveals his moonwalk for the first time. Developed by studying mimes, Michael was the first performer to use this illusion of walking without gravity in a musical performance. Though he didn't create each of these individual dance forms, Michael was the innovative visionary who united all these different styles into his own singular form. In his song She's Out of My Life, Michael Jackson personalizes his music just like romantic authors personalize novels and poems. Romantic writers wrote works in which the main characters were reflections of themselves. Quincy Jones talks about Michael creating this empathetic connection within his music.
She's Out of My Life. It's a song I had in my pocket about 3 years, just holding on to it. And then we were doing the album, something just said, give it to Mike. Something just said, it's time. And then he got on the track, he started singing it, and I wasn't exactly sure how he was going to do with it because the maturity and the emotions of the song was something that he had never experienced before, being such a young performer. But he got on the track, and he cried after every take. About 11, 12 takes we did, he cried after every one. After he was done, I said, leave it on there. That just shows, what a great performer he is. He's able to connect to the emotions of the track in such a deep way.
Michael's most romantic quality is his concern for nature. In his Earth Song video, he illustrates the tension between the beautiful and the sublime. Romantics saw something beautiful as fluid, flowing, peaceful, and leaving feelings of contentment and calm. The sublime is an awesome spectacle seen as haunting, overpowering, supernatural, dangerous, and leaving tumultuous feelings. These images of gliding horses, flowing dolphins, and a cute, peaceful little girl sleeping in the plants all create feelings of peace and leave the mind at ease. But mixed in is the sublime image of an overwhelming tractor destroying nature, creating feelings of turbulence and fear. The video is sublime because it is an awesome spectacle to see the raw power of the tractor enact the massive destruction of an entire forest. It is dark and haunting to think that entire forests can be destroyed so easily.